Dear Lord, thank you for letting us be here tonight. Please allow us to make great decisions for the town, and we're thankful for this opportunity, and we hope we have a great night. Amen.
Thank you.
That was weak.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. Do we have any public comments? Aaron's going to check for us, please. No? Anybody in the audience that might not have signed up want to do a public comment? Now's your time. All righty. Next on the agenda approval. Alex has a couple of ads for us to consider.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. So there's several items, Mayor Pro Tem Scholl. There's a budget amendment request that Ms. Gross has for everyone. There is a measure to appoint a new member of the planning board. We want to remove item number 5. We're going to bring that to you at a future date. And then also to add a closed session for NC General Statute 143.318.11A6.
All righty. We've got a budget amendment. Closed session, let's make that 8A. The budget amendment, we can make that 1B. Get that over with. What's the third one there, Alex? Oh, yeah, the planning board appointment. Is that person here today?
He is. Second gentleman there.
Let's do him after that, so he can stay or leave.
1C. All right.
1B, 1C. And make strike 5, and I guess that would make, let's do the closed session after the Greenway request for bid, item 8.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the following amendments. Add item 1B, a budget amendment ordinance. Item 1C, appointment of a new planning board member consideration. Removal of item 5 and adding a closed session as 8A.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next. Oh, budget amendment. Marcia's in there somewhere. There you are.
And unfortunately, I don't have it. Do you have it up here? I can pull it up. Thank you. This was something that came up very simple. North Carolina, sitting here trying to remember what it was. I didn't think I was talking tonight. That was the other thing.
You don't have to talk
Okay.
much.
North Carolina Governor's Crime Commission. I couldn't think of who it was exactly. We had a grant with them. We had to spend the money in order to get the funds back. It was with we spent $18,000 or $19,436. So it's just really recognizing the revenues so that it won't affect the budget. You know, it's a wash really. The revenue comes in. We spent the money first. The revenue comes in. It's a net wash in the budget itself. So this amendment just records that money coming in and the money going out as well. So I'd like council to consider passing this amendment so that we have the money in the police budget for the expenditure, really.
I move approval of FY 2022 budget amendment number 4, accepting a grant from the NC Governor's Crime Commission.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Planning board, new member. Aaron, do you have that application, or Stephen's your friend or acquaintance?
It's the gentleman that actually I took the picture of on your laptop some time ago, but
That was emailed to the council earlier today. I'm sorry, I don't have it where we can pull it up. It's I'm sorry, sir, Mr. Ryan. Thank you. Awalt, I was afraid I was going to mispronounce his last name. He applied for the planning board some time ago while the council was still doing some restructuring on that board and looking at the duties and responsibilities, but he is up for tonight if the council wishes to appoint him. We do have a vacancy with the expiration date of 3/31/25.
And just, I did meet with him. Y'all know me, I talk way too much. I probably kept you busy for like an hour or so, just yapping. So, he didn't kill anybody while I was there, or he seemed like he was pretty level-headed. So,
Didn't kill you for talking an hour.
he did not come out of the house with a wielding a knife saying, "You council member, take this." But no, conversation went pretty well. I think he'd be a good fit.
Motion.
So I make a motion to appoint Ryan Awal to the planning board for the duration of a vacancy that closes in March of 25.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous as well.
All right.
Welcome aboard, Ryan.
No, you better wait for a while. Yeah.
All right, now we're moving on to Max, general rezoning of 409 Stallings Road from SFR 3 to MU 2.
Okay, so this is application RZ 22.03.01. It's a general rezoning from SFR 3 to MU 2. So this is the property that we're talking about, 409 Stallings Road. It's a half-acre property. It's a current single-family detached home. Here's a quick aerial of the property. This is the last residential property just down this road here, right before you get to the kind of vehicle service repair, the auto shops. Quick history, it's been zoned SFR3 since 2018 when the new Stallings Development Ordinance was adopted. Prior to that, it was zoned R10, which is roughly equivalent to the SFR3 zoning. So it's been zoned residential for quite a while. The request, very simply, is to rezone from SFR3 to MU2. I'll let the applicant speak to what they want to do specifically with the property, but this is just a general rezoning. Going over some quick ordinance requirements, there is tree save required. It's 1% of the lot area, but it's a small lot, so it's only about 200 square feet. And this is all required in the planting yards, which are the type A buffers. So the type A buffers would be required, it's a 40-foot buffer required adjacent to any SFR3 zone property, which is the left and the rear properties. There's no stormwater management or open space required because the lot is just too small to require that.
Wait.
Sure.
So they would require a 40-foot buffer on this piece of property?
Yes, there is exceptions in the ordinance that say that if there's an existing house already there, then the buffer can be reduced along that existing house.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
The comprehensive land use plan calls for this property, called out here on the map, to be single-family neighborhood, which is simply single-family detached, which it currently is. So therefore, staff has found that MU2 is inconsistent with the comprehensive land use plan. But it is in the Stallings Towntown Small Area Plan, which in this area calls for mixed use or multifamily residential. So the requested rezoning to MU2 is consistent with the small area plan. And then finally, the planning board heard this item last week at their regularly scheduled meeting. There was a little bit of discussion just on the context of the property, but ultimately they recommended approval based on consistency with the Stallings Downtown Small Area Plan, and then the plans of developing a downtown along Stallings Road. And that is the end of that presentation. Quickly, I'll just open up the statement of reasonableness and consistency. This is a staff suggested or staff drafted statement. When you vote on approval or denial, you can vote on this at the same time. You can use the reasons listed down here or not. You can add your own, remove them. This is just a suggestion by staff. And now I'm finished, if there are any questions.
Is the applicant, like you're finished with your part?
Yes, the applicant is here.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'll make the motion to approve the rezoning, then we can have discussion if you like, but I'll make a motion to approve the general rezoning of 409 Stallings Road from SFR3 to MU2, and the statement of reasonableness and consistency for the two reasons noted on the screen. The rezoning matches a vision for the Stallings Downtown Small Area Plan, and it advances the goals of the town council to develop a downtown core along Stallings Road.
And I'll second that.
Before we go any further, I think this is in the wrong order. We need to have the public hearing first. Go through that process, don't we?
Won't you open this?
Thank you. We'll save it for later. All right, so open the public hearing. Anybody have any input, comments on this?
I apologize, but I thought there was going to be like they were going to come up and tell us what they were planning to do with this.
They are next.
Okay, thank you.
We just got the information from staff. Would the applicant like to present their plans?
Property, I'm not changing what's already here this just shows up. The house will keep it as is. It's just gonna be, there's parking with entrance and exit from the property. We're not using what the neighborhood use on the side, so we won't cause any traffic. We're not changing anything with it, property, but inside will be more suitable for us.
Okay. Folks,
What type of business is it? I don't think I. Thank you.
I do want to clarify that the rezoning at issue is a general rezoning.
Yeah.
So the rezoning would be going from a single-family to a mixed use to allow for any of the uses within that district.
So, Mayor? So a question, not for the applicant, but thank you very much. I support. I guess it's more of a procedural thing. If the end goal for the town center, this is across from the park generally and in what we would eventually consider a town center area, it'd be nice eventually to have a town center zoning on the parcel, right? I don't think we want to do that tonight because it would further delay the applicant from getting started and don't want to do that. However, I am curious, what are the things allowable in a general rezoning to MU2 that would not be allowed in the town center zoning? Is there a short list, a long list of things?
I believe it would be a short list of differences. We did talk with the applicant. We had originally suggested town center. And I think actually on the presentation that was sent out to you all, there was a staff recommendation slide about considering town center. Staff have later realized that there was one little sentence at the end of the town center zoning district that says they have to be contiguous. So that's why we didn't suggest that tonight. But the differences between town center and MU2 are very minor, just a little bit of uses. Town center has a little bit less uses allowed than MU2. It's a little bit of a less intense district, but there are different allowances as far as setbacks and you know, how close the building can be to the street. But to directly answer your question, it's a short list of differences between the two zoning districts.
can you walk me through the process of if this, how ultimately we would like this TC, or perhaps we do, but I do. how would we go about doing that if we don't do it tonight?
So one option would be to rezone everything up to this property as town center and have it be connected to the rest of the town center block, which is just on the edge here. The other option the other option is a text amendment to remove that sentence to make it contiguous and allow town center to be discontiguous. And then this property and potentially even these other ones next door, all along this Stallings Road frontage could be zoned to the TC district.
And what would the time frame be to do that?
I believe the fastest, if this rezoning was approved for this property, it would not be allowed to be rezoned for another 4 months. The text amendment would be a planning board meeting and then to council. And then the further rezoning of the other properties, should the town want to rezone them themselves, would be an additional 2 months. So the fastest to rezone this entire street frontage, including the property in question, would be about 5 months.
One quick question, if you may. Just, I mean, that would require them to come back to council, right? I mean,
The town, if I understand correctly, the town can rezone, it can initiate a rezoning. And for their use, the beauty salon is allowed in TC. I've already had conversations with the applicant. They don't really, TC, MU2, it doesn't really matter to them. But again, to answer your question, the town can initiate zonings and it would require advertising, make them aware of what those changes would mean.
really, I thought that was one of the things that had happened before, is
Right.
that we couldn't initiate anymore.
And the town clearly has the authority to initiate zoning.
Okay, all right. That's good to know. I wasn't aware of that.
Any questions or comments?
No, that.
Shall I?
No?
Gotta close the public hearing.
Any other, this is still the public hearing before I close it, any comments, I guess, again? Otherwise, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Council decision and action next. Yes?
I move to approve general rezoning RZ 220301 of 409 Stallings Road to from single-family residential to MU2, and to approve a statement of consistency and reasonableness, that it is consistent because the zoning matches the town's vision for the Stallings downtown area, small area plan, and it advances our goal of developing a downtown core along Stallings Road.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Welcome to Stallings. You may already be in Stallings, but welcome your business to Stallings.
Are you already in Stallings? Where's your business now?
Our business, it's in Matthews on San Juan Road.
Cool, very good.
Oh, this will be way better for you. All right,
It's
next,
definitely a much better property.
yeah. All right, next up on the agenda, amendment to the Stallings Development Ordinance to match 160D, amendment to decriminalize violations except in certain instances, as well as the statement of consistency and reasonableness.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta find it, sorry. Hey. Okay, I found it. All right, thank you, council. So the governor and the General Assembly of North Carolina passed a new law in September 2021, amending 160D to decriminalize violations except in certain circumstances. This is the whole ordinance, but the main importance I highlighted. No ordinance of the following types may impose a criminal penalty. Any ordinance adopted under Article 19 of this chapter, Planning and Regulation of Development, or a successor, Chapter 160D of the General Statutes, except for those ordinances related to unsafe buildings. So just keep in mind the unsafe building, because there's a ordinance that addresses that. So there's, I believe 7 amendments to our Stallings Development Ordinance. Amendment 1 adds A and then adds B, reading, "The following changes to this ordinance are authorized and may be carried out by either the town clerk or the planning, zoning, and subdivision administrator or their designee without processing a formal amendment. Corrections to the official zoning map to reflect updated information on property boundaries, street alignments, natural stream alignments, etc. shall not be considered amendments. Edits to the text of this ordinance and/or the official zoning map to update a table of amendments, add information to the legend of the official zoning map, correct topographical errors and/or correct geographical information and/or insert notations representing amended text in article, section, subsection, or provision." Does anybody have questions on Amendment 1? Okay. Amendment 2 just deletes the second paragraph, second sentence in this paragraph. It just removes the misdemeanor violation. Any questions on Amendment 2? Okay. Amendment 3 is completely amended to read as follows. Violation of the provisions of this ordinance or failure to comply with any of its requirements, including violation of conditions and safeguards established in connection with grants of variance or special exceptions, shall constitute a violation of this ordinance. Each day such violation continues shall be considered a separate offense. Nothing herein contained shall prevent the town of Stallings from taking such other lawful action as is necessary to prevent or remedy any violation. Does anybody have any question on Amendment 3? Okay. Amendment 4 amends the last sentence. Violation of a stop work order constitutes a violation of this ordinance. It removes the misdemeanor offense. Any questions on Amendment 4? Okay. Amendment 5, the last sentence is removed and replaced with violation of this ordinance instead of misdemeanor. Any questions? Okay. Amendment 6 is 19.34-3 is repealed entirely, this sentence. And then I'll go on to Amendment 7, just add a sentence. A violation of a stop work order regarding any building deemed unsafe shall constitute a Class 1 misdemeanor. So this one just has to deal with building codes. That's why it's still a misdemeanor. Any questions on any of these amendments? Okay. All right. Well, you can vote and approve these statements of consistency together if you'd like, or deny. Yeah.
I'm going to open the public hearing at this time. We did just hear from, any additional from staff?
No, that's it.
Anyone have any comments or contributions to this issue? All right, I will close the public hearing. Council, discussion and decision, please.
I just have one quick question. Does this, I mean, I know it's for 160D. Does this in any way minimize our effectiveness of the ordinance?
I would say no. There's still, you can still be pay monetary fines in the ordinance. You just won't be a misdemeanor anymore. So I guess you could take that as a less of a violation, but 160D repealed misdemeanors for them, so.
But if we go to court and everything, it still holds up and everything?
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? What's the pleasure of the council? Don't all speak at once.
I've made my number of motions tonight, so I think I'm gonna take a break for a bit. Go ahead.
I move to amend the Stallings Development Ordinance to match 160D amendment to decriminalize violations except in certain instances, and that it's consistent with proposed amendment aligns with Stallings Development Ordinance with state statute requirements.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up is the continuation of our discussion of the streetscape design direction.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So, in April 25th, 2022, I had the streetscape presentation. I presented a very lengthy, detailed report to you guys. And at this time, I now realize it was a lot to absorb. So we wanted to, I think the council wanted more time to look over that and decide and get their thoughts on the streetscape. So tonight, we're requesting revisions to the recommendations for revisions to the downtown streetscape plan I presented in April. And I can go over a detailed part of the plan, but I included Aaron emailed a memo this morning.
Man,
Yes.
Max, remind us, we just considered rezoning a parcel town center. We did not, but had we done that, for instance, and a new business moved into a parcel versus a complete redevelopment of, say, the Potter Pleasant Plains Shopping Center, when, and do you know, when would these streetscape requirements be imposed in those two scenarios? I'm trying to draw a picture of
Yeah.
really, really tiny movement to a really large redevelopment. Are we putting these on the ground, and when? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so if council decides to adopt the streetscape plan, I plan on bringing a text amendment forward to require streetscape and town center developments. So if any property was to be redeveloped, like the parcel in question, I would have to research on if we would require just a new business moving into a house, but we would definitely require if the property is to be redeveloped, like a new building, then we would require the streetscape for sure.
That part I would expect.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to the other part, it would be very expensive. It will be very expensive, as we know, we talked about last time. So I guess thoughtful discussion about the implementation. We could approve it, I guess, but I think we probably ought to discuss the pros and cons of implementation on sort of the potential most likely scenarios in the town center. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, and then I plan on, once this is if this is adopted, it would be a discussion with the council on what would be included in that text amendment.
Can I ask a quick question on, I mean, I guess one of the, on that same notion, Brad, just, how do I say this? I mean, to some degree, I mean, you would want to push for a redevelopment if we pass this, right? I mean, because ultimately you would want the whole streetscape to be uniform. So I guess, would it be more stringent? I mean, we would lean more stringent, or I guess, kind of, what's the thought pattern there?
That was the nature of my question. A small business couldn't afford to do the streetscape that we would impose if that was considered an act of rezoning to town center, which we didn't do, right? It's MU2. But if it went to town center, did that automatically require the business owner to make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands? I don't think so. It doesn't feel right, but I wanted clarification on that before we actually approve it. And so we'd be approving a text amendment later,
Yes.
not tonight.
So tonight you're just giving recommendations on the streetscape plan, like the aesthetics, the
Yeah.
distances. And at a later date, hoping in November, to bring forward a text amendment to require the streetscape in town center zoning.
November?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Can I ask council, do you all feel prepared to make any input tonight, or would you like to have 2 more weeks to put this on the top burner and look at it between now and the next meeting to give direction? Or if you're prepared tonight, we'll do it tonight.
You can always email me, discuss we just want to make sure we're going in the right direction. We only have one revision without paying extra fees.
One freebie, so we gotta make it good, so.
I'm okay to talk again at another meeting.
I am
I
too.
think we asked some questions, and I don't know all of them, and you may have answers, you may still be researching. But one was, the town of Matthews has a streetscape program and consistency, right? So one of the questions was, who maintains it? In front of, you pick a restaurant in downtown Matthews, Sante, for example. Are they still there?
Sante left? Really?
Beside the point. But a restaurant, Grace O'Malley's. So if a paver needs to be fixed in the right of way, or the sidewalk, or a bench gets broken, who pays to fix that? I assume the town does.
Be the town.
It'd be
Okay.
the town, yeah.
The pavers need to be replaced, the town does, even though the developer installs, the town assumes maintenance for right of way. Okay, that's helpful. And then there was a question about coloration, light versus dark. I know the mayor made a comment about a 15-foot wide in the main thoroughfare.
I think the max was 14.
14, that seemed excessive and expensive. We should lower it. I'm not sure I agree with that, but any thought about the width of that
Yeah.
greenway portion, I guess, that would go right out here?
So the 14-foot multi-use path would be where it's shown on the Greenway master plan, like on the other side of the street. If you did decide to lessen that, it would go against the Greenway master plan. But it is an option to do so.
Just for cost purposes.
Yeah.
Would it really reduce the cost that much, even if you just reduced it by, what, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet? I wouldn't think it would reduce it by a lot.
Doesn't feel like we're ready to give you direction, except I for one, am interested. I think we all have been and are still, but I'm not sure we're ready to do much more tonight than continue to talk about it. But that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah.
You mentioned it first. I sort of alluded to it, but yeah, I agree. I think we've probably been sidetracked with budget work
Yeah,
this
of course.
last couple of months, and this probably hasn't popped up enough to give you the feedback that you need, so I will ask council to try to put this on your to-do list between now and the next meeting. Maybe we can have a better discussion, more in-depth discussion at our next meeting in June.
I just want to make a note that our contract with Destination by Design for the final deliverable is June 30th. And they are working on it right now, and waiting comments. So as soon as you can, it'd be very helpful.
Thank you.
I guess, just like you were saying, though, this is how we want our town to look like, so I think it's important that we take enough time to dedicate it.
So can you clarify that? Does that mean if we are requesting a revision and it would take them beyond June 30th, we'd have to pay? Or they just,
Yeah, it's likely we'll have to pay some extra fees, but if you guys, I would recommend getting it right the first time. So,
I agree.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So the decision isn't implementation, the things I was talking about, cost and where, it's maybe where.
Yeah.
Part of the plan.
So,
But it's more materials, width, amenities, and those color
yeah, that will be all included.
design.
Yeah. And then at a later date, the implementation and where exactly will be decided by staff. And then we'll bring it to council for vote.
Right now, I mean, the town is laid out a certain way. Things could change in this implementation. Will this plan kind of be written in such a way that it would make assumptions?
We could, yeah, I would say, like, the Greenway Master Plan has a requirement where if it's identified in the Greenway Master Plan, then you're required to build it. Or you could pay fee in lieu, or you could still build it anyways if you wanted to, even though it's not required. So there's a lot of different options that we could explore when we do the text amendment to allow if anything were to change in the future.
I mean,
And I'd add, Mr. Shung's right, and I'd add to that too, is that when you're looking at a lot of the areas now, there's obviously going to be a lot of undeveloped or underdeveloped properties in the town center area. And so what I think you're going to have is naturally, there are going to be a lot more interior roads as those areas are developed, right? And those interior roads are going to be important. If you think about it, a lot of the Main Street, the important roads, it's not really the thoroughfares in a lot of areas. It's going to be those interior roads. And so we're not there yet, but when we get there and decide on the aesthetics and the layouts, Max and his team will look and they'll set a standard for not only the roads that exist, but potential future roads as well.
Thank you.
And you just said something about the fees in lieu of. I mean, would that be something we would actually want to entertain here in town center?
I was just using it as an example.
okay.
No, I don't think I would entertain that when I do the text amendment, but it is an option if you guys want to explore it.
Gotcha. I'm just worried about like, one 80-foot section here, it skips a couple of parcels, then starts another 80-foot section.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a real concern that could happen, and like who would, it would almost be like areas of town with sidewalks in spots of towns. There are areas that have been developed recently that have sidewalks, but others not. So you'd likely have that. The other option would be the town stepping in and kind of building it all at once. Obviously, the big disadvantage of that is cost. So it's kind of weighing both sides, I think.
See, we make fun of those sidewalks that go in and then pick up again.
Right.
It just makes it almost meaningless to some extent. So, yeah, that would be my biggest thing is like, we're doing this to create a sense of consistency for downtown. And then all of a sudden, we could create a situation where we have inconsistency over downtown. So that would just be one of my concerns.
And the only comment I have is I feel like the contract is a date, and I get that, but it feels like we're missing a real sense of public communication on this, right? I don't know that we've talked about this, shown some of the schematics to at least the property owners. That would be helpful, I think. Not so much for design ideas, because we won't agree, but that this is something we're doing, talking about, thinking about. I don't have any changes to the design. I'm not a designer. I think they look good. I think it's more of a, I know that would be part of the text amendment, I guess, but it feels like there should be maybe an interim step with a downtown focus group seminar, coffee and biscuits one day to talk about the downtown here. This is a big deal because I told you last time, it's exciting, but a little bit frightening at the same time because it's a lot of money and it's a big outlay of capital and a requirement of a big outlay of capital for future developers. I will remind us that we also own 80% of the parcels between here and Monroe Road, so we're going to be paying the most money, right, in front of the park, in front of this building, in front of the John Deere place. So we'd have a lot of contiguous space because we own a lot of contiguous space, but I'm more concerned about the Potter Pleasant Plains development over there, and I don't know. So take that for what it's worth. I'm okay with the design. I'm less comfortable that we know that we've communicated it well and that we know the impacts on the development. So I'd vote for maybe a workshop, public workshop kind of thing.
Is this something that DFI might be able to help us with? I mean, it's got to be something that comes up all the time, every time you design a downtown. So there's got to be kind of a uniform approach.
Yeah, I believe they would be able to incorporate the streetscape design in their studies. I agree. I think it would be nice to have public comment on this. So if I get my plotter, I can print out big schematics and show all the streetscape stuff. No, I'm kidding. But it.
Wrote that down. You're in here now.
Yeah. So it is, a possibility, and I can make a public workshop if council wishes.
Thank you. Is that what we wish or consensus? Or do you want to just come back in 2 weeks and figure this out after we've spent some time at what we've got? Is it all right with waiting for 2 weeks?
Yeah,
Or the next
and,
meeting, I mean?
yeah, definitely. And then if you have any questions, want to give me a shout out, contact me, and I'll be happy to talk with the streetscape with you.
You said there's a contract potential issue with Destination by Design. I mean, what kind of money are we potentially looking at if we go beyond that?
It's an hourly rate, so they would just charge us for how many extra hours they work. It's not like a set amount. So
We're not talking about tens of thousands.
I don't think so. I hope not.
So just to summarize, takeaway is, board's been busy with the budget. Let's stop, let's think about, let's give you all a second to dive back into it. And then we'll come back around at the June meeting, put it on the agenda. Or we could do the second meeting in June. That's typically the planning session of the month. And give y'all time to some time to digest it. And then
In light of the
go
timing
from
of
there.
the contract, I was leaning toward the first one. 2 weeks,
Okay.
is 2 weeks enough? Do you want this 4 weeks?
I think 2 weeks is plenty of time.
I'm good with 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right, we don't want to, I feel bad we're not ready to do it tonight, but I think I'd rather spend the time to make it right or the best we can.
Sure.
So I think we're all willing to do 2 weeks and
Okay.
try to work inside that contract time
Table it.
frame. And
So we can knock out the aesthetics, then potentially have a public workshop after that. Once we internally get something that everybody's on the same page, go out, bring to the public, almost like a, hey, what do you think? Do you like what you're seeing? Take that in, and then from there, then have the conversation on locations and things like that. Seemed like the final thing there was the big thing that people were most uneasy about. The locations, the implementation. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I'd almost then get the aesthetics right and then have a draft location thing and then have a public workshop. How's that sound? Okay, all right, cool.
All right, thank you.
thank you, Max.
Do I need to pull up anything?
All right, next up, concert series, alcoholic beverages consideration.
Been missing.
All right, Ms. McSwain. Come on
Hello.
in.
Do I need to do anything? Am I good with the buttons?
I can pull it up for you.
Thank you. I get nervous. I was like, I don't want to mess anything up.
You know
But-
what?
Huh?
See that camera?
What?
You're on camera.
Okay,
too.
you know what? I'll just keep smiling.
You may not care.
Right, there we go. I think it'll be good. So for you guys, I'm not usually up here. My name is Eunice McSwain. I'm the current event coordinator for the town of Stallings Recreation Department. I stand before you today because I would like to contract with craft beer and wine vendors for our annual summer concert series. This was something that kind of got paused during COVID and hasn't been going on since 2019. So we are bringing it back, and the issue we're having right now is the ordinance states it prohibits the consumption and possession of alcoholic beverages at town-sponsored special events, but allows for exceptions to be made by the town council on a case-by-case basis. So what I have been doing is I have worked with Chief, I've met with Alex, I've met with our staff to see what we've done in the past as far as alcohol sales have gone in the park. So what we plan on doing this year is we are gonna barricade the whole area in front of the stage, so there's only one point of exit and entrance. What'll happen is everyone will be given a wristband, no matter how old, but it's up to you to be ID'd. We will hire out a company to do these ID checks. You'll be given a different color if you want to purchase alcohol in the park. No outside alcohol will be allowed, no coolers, no bags that we can't see through. So these are the precautions that we're kind of taking to make sure that everyone is safe in the park. It will not be an alcohol-free park. We're just roaming around. It'll definitely be contained into this one area. We will also have 3 police officers on site. 2 will be in the area and 1 will be at the crosswalk right here where Town Hall crosses over to the park. And just to be on safe measures, we also plan to barricade off this green grass lot over here to avoid any parking issues that we might have. So with that being said, I will reach out to our liability insurance provider to ensure that we are making all the right calls. Again, I'll check back in with staff. Chief has been awesome, making sure that we're up to code on everything. But like I said, I need y'all's help to approve the exception to the town ordinance as it stands and allow alcohol sales at our annual concert series.
I got a question.
Yeah, of course.
You said to barricade the entire area in
Yep.
front of the stands?
Yep. So what we will do with the barricades, they'll actually go from the stage, from, if you're looking at it from the road on the right side, and we'll actually cut across to where the pond reservoir is. It's already gated. So there'll be a barricade there. And then we'll also barricade from the top of the pond to kind of where shelter A is. I have a map if you'd like to see it.
Haven't we done this before? And I don't recall it being barricaded all the way to the stage to the back. And what I'm getting at is, what about the kids that are under 21 that want to get up close to watch the music?
They will be able to, it's only going to be barricaded from the side, so it's not an exit point up at the stage.
It was big,
Yeah.
big old square.
Oh, no, sir, no, sir. It'll just be barricaded from the right of the stage to where that pond is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I have a map. Would y'all like to see one?
Yeah.
I made some copies. Yeah, of course.
It's been a while since we've had one. I can't recall it.
I have a few. Yeah, we'll pass them along. Here you go.
Thank you.
Would you like one?
So I'm okay with this as an idea. I had a question, though, about something you said that concerned me about parking.
Yep.
Barricading off the grass lot in front of the tennis courts is what you're thinking, I guess? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
So does that take away parking, and where do people park for this? And I've
So-
never seen this, so what's the attendance supposed to be looking like, and where do people park, and how do they get there?
So pretty much the only reason this has even came up in my mind is we just had our Spring into Wonderland event. And it was a great turnout. I think post-COVID, we've just had a lot of attendance. It's really positive. But what happened was people actually parked in this lot, and we have limited staff. And it took one final car to block every single person in.
Okay.
Yep. So what happened was we were actually having to call car tags out during the event because it became a bigger issue. I love having people in the park. I think it's great. But now that we have access to James River, it kind of works out really well that people can park over there, transition through this back lot, and then cross safely over at this crosswalk.
Oh, so they park at James River, come behind our building here, and cross the crosswalk?
Yes, sir? Yep.
Very nice, okay.
Very similar to what we did at Stallings Fest last year.
It was crazy crowded here. I mean,
staff just parks over there, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep. And usually what will happen is town staff will actually park behind these white gates to open it up for more public parking as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Any questions, concerns down here? Good.
No, I'm good.
See a pleasure, council.
I'll make a motion that we take it and approve the town ordinance, an exception to town ordinance 130.02 to allow alcohol sales at the 2022 summer concert series.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Unanimous? Thank you, Eunice.
All right, see y'all there.
What's the first, what's the
Thank you.
first date? What are the dates?
The first date is June 10th, and then after that, it'll be June 24th,
Do you need these back?
July 8th. Nope, y'all can keep those, and then July 22nd. For easeability, it'll be the second and fourth Fridays of June and July, from 6 to 9 p.m. All right.
It'll be fun. Okay, doke.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. So since we're way early on the agenda, maybe we want to take a break? We're good? Good. All right.
Did you take a break? What you said under?
Next on the agenda, annexation 55, Lawyers Road, Epcon Third Project. Aaron?
Yes, so for those of you who aren't aware, when we receive a petition for annexation, there is a process that we have to go through per state statute. This is actually the first step in that process. You have to direct the clerk to investigate the petition that you have received for annexation. It's at that point that I will actually look at the actual parcels and let you know if we are allowed to annex this property. So this is simply the first step, having the council formally tell the clerk to investigate the petition that we have received.
Kind of a required step, isn't it?
It is a required step, yes, sir.
So this should be fairly easy. Questions? Any questions? A motion?
I make a motion that we, a resolution to direct the council,
Town clerk.
it's direct the
Do we need
Clerk
to,
to investigate.
do we need to read the?
town,
No, you can just approve the resolution
last
to
sentence.
direct the clerk
Read
to
the last
investigate.
sentence. There you go.
yeah, the council to direct the clerk to investigate annexation 55.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. The next item, Greenway request for bids. Aaron again?
Yes, sir. As you guys are aware, we are going out to bid for the Greenway. There is a state statute that will allow the town council to advertise those bids electronically, but you have to state such. That way, we do not need to put it in an actual printed newspaper, and we do not have to pay for an actual printed ad. Just for your awareness, as you may recall, we're working with Destination by Design on this Greenway, and they are handling most of the bid process for us, meaning putting it in professional journals, websites, and they're also being basically our clearinghouse for all of those bids. So this advertisement is actually already on the town's website. We will send it out to the Sunshine List and advertise it on social media as well. And it is on the North Carolina State bidders list, and it has been sent to other qualified contractors that do this sort of thing. And then that Construct Connect that you see there, that last bullet, that is actually a professional site that also posts these types of things. So if council actually makes the motion and allows this, we do not actually have to have it printed in an actual newspaper.
Thank you. One of the things I noted when I was reading this was the state statute allows us to make a decision to do individual contracts or just change the way we do our advertising always. I would like to take this opportunity to change it so that we always, in the future, use electronic and not a printed newspaper, as per the state statute.
Is that something that, is that an ordinance that we would have to change, or is it?
How does that work out?
What we would like to do, and we did hear that some of the members were interested in making this a permanent policy, so to speak. So what we would like for you to do, if you would, is approve tonight just using electronic means for this particular bid. Then we will bring back to you the formal way to do it for all bids so that we make sure we get that right.
Concur. I'll make that motion that we make this change for this individual contract, and you'll bring it back in, well, that'll not out of it.
We'll bring it back to you with the official way to do it for all contracts, if that's what you're interested in.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's
Thank you.
unanimous. All right, wow. Almost have missed them. Closed session is up next. Aaron, could you read the code to go into closed session, please? And
Yes.
who all do we need to invite?
It's North Carolina General Statute 143-318 11A6. And I'll let town manager invite or recommend any invitations in.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. The general statute number is 143-318.11A6. Yes, thank you. I would ask that we invite in Mr. McCarley as well as Ms. Karen Reed.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6, to go into closed session. And to invite Mr. Mac McCarley and Karen, you said Karen?
Please.
What's Karen's last name?
Karen Reed.
Karen Reed. Sorry, Karen. It's no. Oh, it changed?
Yeah, it was
I knew that. That's what the problem was.
Good save, good save.
Motion on the floor.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go into closed session.
Bye, have a good night.
Take it easy, guys.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow Taylor, Ray, and Heather to go to the bathroom. All in favor?
Yeah, this isn't second grade. Y'all